Hi guys, welcome back to In Case of Econ Struggles. Welcome to another AP Micro Struggle. Today I'm talking about topic 6.2, which is on externalities. Timestamps are below if you would like to jump around, but let's get right into it. Here's what you need to know about externalities for the AP exam. First, I'm going to give you a motivating example just to understand everything I'm going to say in the rest of the video, hopefully a little bit better. And the main thing you need to know for this video is that setting marginal social cost equal to marginal social benefit is what you need to do when you're talking about externalities. So in the last video, we talked about sort of benefits and costs that firms didn't necessarily think about when deciding how much to make, and that is what we call an externality. An externality is just any decision that affects someone else that we don't necessarily take into account just thinking about our own private decisions. So if you think back to Bill, where Bill was making electricity, Bill didn't think about the cost in terms of pollution to the town around him just from him making electricity, and so that is what we would call an externality. Same thing with Bill's bees from last time. Bill wasn't considering the fact that his bees pollinated the local park and made the park more enjoyable for the residents, and he wasn't taking that into account when deciding how much honey that Bill the beekeeper should make. And then what we're going to talk about finally is why externalities create inefficiency, which again is going to look very similar to things we talked about in the last video. So at any point, give a comment if something's helpful or if you're confused about something, but let's go right into this motivating example. So here's a motivating example. We're once again going to talk about Bill, but now Bill's a peanut farmer, just to give you a third example different than the ones you've seen before. So this is Bill's peanut farm, a lovely drawn farm, and when Bill goes to sell these peanuts to a grocery store, he can get $5 a peanut. I guess Bill is making some really good peanuts. And what we're going to say is that the marginal cost to Bill of making a peanut is going to be $3 per peanut at say like 100 peanuts. But Deborah, who lives close to Bill and lives right next to Bill's farm, she's got a peanut allergy and it costs her $6 per peanut in order to sort of deal with the symptoms of her peanut allergy. And so we're going to ask two different questions about this situation. The first is what is the total surplus or the outcome if Bill does not take Deborah's allergy into account? And the second question is going to be, can we increase the total surplus? Can we make this outcome better for society in some way? So let's answer the first question. Currently the total surplus, well, Bill is able to get $2 a peanut. That's the difference between the price the grocery store is paying him and the cost of each peanut. So he's getting $200. He's making 100 peanuts. But Deborah is suffering $6 a peanut for 100 peanuts. So she is getting minus 600. So her total surplus is negative 400. So that's the first question. Currently, we're at a total surplus of negative 400. So what can we do to make this better? Well, notice that if Deborah decides to pay Bill $300, she's going to say, hey, I'll pay you $300 to make 0 peanuts. Bill says, okay. So if we compare this to before, notice that Bill's surplus, if we compare Bill's surplus to whatever he's doing, it cost him $300 to make those peanuts, but he's not going to sell them. So we're going to say that he is making 0. And Deborah's surplus is going to be $600 minus $300 because her surplus of $600 is the fact that she no longer has to deal with this peanut allergy, and she is able to sort of be better off than if Bill was making the peanuts. Now, before we put this into a graph, let's just do some vocab again. So again, as we've talked about before, this is a private benefit because Bill is not thinking about Deborah. And the $3 per peanut that it costs Bill to make a peanut is a marginal private cost. The social cost is the $3 it costs Bill to make a peanut plus the $6 of impact to Deborah for her peanut allergies. So the total marginal social cost is actually $9 per peanut rather than 6 or 3. Marginal private cost is 3. Marginal private benefit is 5. Social cost is 3 plus 6, which is 9. So if we graph this, if we think about Bill, notice that Bill is going to have a marginal private cost. It's going to look something like this. Maybe this is the $5 at 100 in green. But we need to add those $6 to become a marginal social cost curve. So we need, if we want Bill to take into account this externality, we shift his marginal cost up by 6. This is now the marginal social cost curve. And where does it impact the marginal private benefit, which is also equal to the marginal social benefit? Well, it never touches that curve, which is why it makes sense to have Bill make 0 peanuts. Now, we had Deborah just pay Bill in order to not make peanuts. just to make it a little easier to understand. But you can see that if Bill were to think about the total cost when he's deciding how many peanuts to make, he would choose to make 0 peanuts because the total cost to society is not worth the $5 he can get for each peanut. So you can see that we have inefficiency if we don't account for the externality. Because Bill is going to be making too many peanuts, it's going to be better for society if we are making 0 peanuts, and that's just what this curve is showing. So hopefully that just gives you a little better idea of what externalities are and how they work. If you're still confused, comment below, but if this was helpful, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time for another case of econ struggles.